fade away. It's been a long time coming. Be strong. Little seals are breaking. It won't be long. Rahubat, Rahubat family. Rahubat Moisar. Let them know we're live. Native American readings, Rahubat. Big sister, Rahubat. Crazy, Rahubat. Master teacher, freedom for the master. Yeah, the background music is Love and Unity, Freedom Master Teacher. You can support by sharing, liking on YouTube. Check Chaser, Rahubat, Prophecy, Rahubat. Satak, Kobina, Nati, Rahubat. Muad'Dib, Elkar, Rahubat. Kola, Rahubat. Yeah, we're just waiting for more people to join. Let everyone know we're live. We're gonna get into the questions. I see a lot of questions already. Milady, B8, Rahubat. Coca Brown in the house, Rahubat, Rahubat. Flash 100%, Rahubat. K7 in the house, Rahubat. Master teacher, freedom for the master. Master teacher. Man, it's been a long time coming. Quad Joe in the house, Rahubat Zamal. Akhayatir Antat, Anuki Kawaz Zamal, Wu Antat, Panen Zamut. Solar Ray, Rahubat. Yeah, we're here, we're everywhere, we're there, and we're here. Yeah, we want to master home. Now. All right, let's get into it. How you all doing? Yeah, feeling much better this week, as you can see. I want to give thanks to everyone who supports the channel, who likes, subscribes. You know, make sure you have that notification bell clicked so that you can always be the first to know. Remember, we now have 24/7. You can watch Wu-Sabat 24/7, where you get to see other student teachers. You know, the brothers Sabat, we got Kafre, we got Ni, Usir, we got many student teachers and the master teachers. Well, many things going on. The documentary, if you haven't seen that already, make sure you like, subscribe, share. That's all you got to do. Press a few buttons. That helps us a lot, you know. So, yeah, we just want to give mad love, a shook, right? But as usual, the first thing is the first thing. All we are humble student teachers of the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. Without him, none of us will be here doing what we're doing. You know, we're just here to help point and bring people to the right direction, the right knowledge, the right wisdom that leads you to the right overstanding, and then you can start to be who you're supposed to be, using sound right reasoning to make decisions. And if you're making the right decisions, then we're all going to be of one accord, because the one thing with Wu-Sabat is we are all under one spiritual guide. Yeah, so the information we teach comes from one source. So we're all united. So it would be rare that you find a student teacher that's going to tell you something different to another student teacher, because we all read the same books. Obviously, everyone has their own delivery method and their experience in life, how they can relate to things, but ultimately, we're all under one accord. You know, you need a spiritual master who knows things of the spiritual world as well as the physical world to guide you, and we're very, very, very fortunate to have such a being that has 720 degrees of the spiritual, 360 degrees of the spiritual or the unseen world, and also 360 degrees of the physical or the seen world. And we want to really, really show up, we want to give our love to those students that are taking this seriously, that are reading the scrolls, because that's ultimately what you should be doing, reading the scrolls and then asking questions based on anything you need clarification on. And of course, not just reading, but putting it into application, like when it's working in your life, in your world. So yeah, we want to make sure that we big up anyone who's diligently studying and yeah, just putting Wu-Sabat to work. Okay, I'm trying to look and see what the first question is. Check Chaser, when you say I missed last week, I won't miss this week. I don't know if you're referring to class or to the live, but anyway, most of them are still available on OSM Vision on YouTube, so you can catch anything you miss on OSM Vision. So obviously there's nothing like real time, being involved in real time. But yeah, so the prophecy, the Sodom and Gomorrah story, explain this story the same you have, oh, for the Babel story. We actually have a whole scroll on the Sodom and Gomorrah story. But the thing is that in the religious world, they teach it as if it was to do with homosexuality, which it wasn't really about that. That's such a long time ago in terms of I have to access the files. Or let me see if there are any other student teachers online. Yeah, I can I might try and let me try and find it. See if I can find the scroll, and then I'll come back to that. Which scroll is it? Yeah, well, let me see. You won't find it. It's the Sodom and Gomorrah. It's a small, tiny scroll. It'd be good if I can find it, because I'll look quickly. If I can, I'll grab it. If it's taking too long, we'll have to revisit it. We work in real time, so if it's meant to be, if it's something that the ancestors want you to get it, we will get it. Okay, maybe I might see if I can get you to look for it. But it's going to be a bit of work. You got to remember, we got so much scrolls. Okay, if I don't find it in this pile, I'll let you have a look. In fact, we're going to be able to start going through some of these and go through some of these as well. Bear with me, bear with me. We're trying to find the scroll. See if we can address it properly. Lord. This is a first, isn't it? All right, I'm gonna, yeah. I had no luck, but we'll keep looking. Yeah, but I'm trying to remember the whole, but I know it wasn't about, because, okay, so the whole Sodom and Gomorrah story, from what I can recollect, is God destroying the place because people think Sodom ties into sodomite, as in people thinking that is to do with, look at the right, the bottom shelf. Yeah, it's to do with homosexuality, but it wasn't about that. But I'm trying to remember it because that's such a long time ago. But if there are any other student teachers in the chat, if you can maybe prompt me, because my mind's going through my files right now trying to dig out that information. But yeah, apparently the city was destroyed because of what they think is sodomy, which is, as you know, most people think is about homosexuality, but it wasn't about that. And as the story goes, Lot and his family was saved, and his wife got turned into salt because she was told not to look back, and she did. But as I said, it will come back to me if it does. If not, we'll look for the scroll and we'll break it down, or if any other student teachers are in the chat, they will probably help. All right, so prophecy, bear with us, we'll come to that. Yeah, I've kind of touched on what was the significance of the story a little bit. All right, let's keep going. We'll come back to that one. Hello, I watched your class about the Anunnaki. Can you tell me, this is Kola, can you tell me when you said it expired? What is the next chapter we should expect? Right, what we're saying is that, because people ask this a lot as well, in terms of, one, why do we use the Bible and the Quran and speak about the Anunnaki stories, and, you know, why do we repeat certain things over and over again? The reality is that repetition reinforces knowledge, and it helps you because, you know, the programming that has been done with the sixth ether and the spell of Kingu and spell of Leviathan has been so deep that it takes a while for you to kind of like break it. And there are new people, so new people come and they ask the same question, and sometimes we have to be very patient and walk people, you know, through from where they're at. And so sometimes you will hear the same questions over and over again. And for people who have already got it, they may be a little bit impatient, like, you know, we've heard this before, but to that new soul, it's the first time they're hearing it, you know. So we don't mind, we'll take our time, we'll go over it. And every time we actually answer the same question, the likelihood is that we remember other parts or more information that may have been shared about the same subject or question, you see. So, but yeah, so what we went through the different schools. So the master came on the scene, started to teach a small group of people in 1962 and brought culture. And he was trying to teach us wu-nuwapu, which today we know as Wu-Sabat. And many people weren't ready for the culture. So he kind of gave us a little bit of the Yoruba culture in terms of how it related to us as animists. And even then people were like, so if you go back and look at, you know, in the 60s, he was like, you know, he had like the six-pointed star and crescent, and he had, you know, the nose ring, and he had, you know, we're wearing like loose what became later on as the Jalabiya. But again, people weren't really ready to embracing the culture, so he put it away and people were asking questions on religion. So he took us through the schools of religion, i.e. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and we then went into the Anunnaki school where we were learning about Sumeria, ancient Sumer, and those stories. And then the reason that happened is because if you look at the monotheistic religions, the main three anyway, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they are from the Anunnaki stories. So it was only natural to walk backwards into the Anunnaki stories and explain where the origin of these monotheistic religions were coming from. Because remember, Abraham is the patriarch of the monotheistic religions. And so when we got there, he then started to introduce us back to our Tamaraean, or what people would term Egyptian or Kemetic stories. And then from there, we walked back to pre-dynastic, which would be going back into what we're dealing with as Wu-Sabat, or the original people on the planet, you know. So when we say it has expired, we're saying that the holy tablets, which was, we got it up here, yeah, this one here, the holy tablets, was a completion of the Anunnaki stories as well as all the monotheistic religions, okay? So that's what we mean, that expired in the year 2000. And he started to give us what he came to give. And that's also referred to as the first half hour, because, you know, symbolically, even though it talks about the man of the hour and talks about the hour in the book of Revelations, it's symbolically relating to the first half hour being the 30 years from when the seventh seal was officially broken, which was in 1970. So from 1970 to the year 2000, he gave us religion and gave us all that we asked. And he was like, I'm going to give you what you want, so you would learn to want what I have to give. And in the year 2000, with the expiration of the Anunnaki and the monotheistic religions, he was like, right, I'm going to start giving you what I came to give. And 2002, he was incarcerated or kidnapped, you see, when he started to give us Wu-Sabat. All right, so that's what we're referring to when we said it has expired. And when you say what is the next chapter, well, we had other books that came out, like the Black Book, the Sacred Records of Atum Re, and he started to give us what he came to give, which we refer to as the hereafter doctrine, right? So that's hereafter the 6,000 years has expired, which is from 4004 BC to 2000 AD. That's the 6,000 years. And after that, we started to get the hereafter doctrine, which is the Patarak, the master secrets, and the actual facts. So that's what you should be focusing on now, okay? And of course, any updates that he gives us. All right, that's for you, Kola. Let's move on. Check Chaser, Rahubat, I missed last week's again. I am here this time. I seen you fly with the Nubia jacket. Yeah, man. We all that's coming for you, you know. Nubia Design, shout out. Yeah, so, you know, we encourage people to, you know, support Wu-Sabat in every way, shape or form, because when people see those symbols, it will, you know, spark a question. And that's a way sometimes to spark off a conversation, and then you can start a dialogue and then, you know, introduce them to Wu-Sabat. Yes, spread right knowledge, right wisdom, and the right understanding. Free the master teacher, of course. Rahubat Musa, another Super Sabian live, a shook, definitely Solar Ray. My wife dreamed either you or the the master teacher draped me in white. Okay. That's Muad'Dib el-Ka. That's interesting because white is a very pure color, spiritual, deals with, you know, this is why they use white for when people are getting married and things like that. Purity deals with, so, you know, it seems like a positive dream, but it's her dream, of course, and we don't interpret dreams, as you should know by now, for other people, unless we were also in there. Check Chase again, so can looking like a supreme being with that red and black. Okay, that's the same. Yeah, the same jacket. That's Nubia design. All right. Yeah, let's take the call. Live calls always get priority. So, hey, Rahul back live caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
Heaven, hi. My name is Lolade.
Hi, Lolade.
And I first will say congratulations on the 100,000 subscribers.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question is very simple. The master teacher, I want to know, why didn't he begin to build his, not sure the exact word for it, but build in Africa instead of I guess New York or America, where you say
right
that like Americans have like half minds or something like that.
Yeah, I got you.
And would have been easier to do that in Africa.
Right. So yes, the question is a great question. The thing is that the master teacher is a supreme being, and he has a strategy and he knows what he's doing. And sometimes we may not fully understand why, or why didn't he do things in a particular way. But one of the things he relayed to us was that he wanted, as usual, to make it very clear who the devil is. And what he meant by that is that if you build heaven on earth, which is what Tamaray, Egypt of the West, was, and anyone who ever was fortunate enough to visit would tell you how beautiful it was, how peaceful it was, and all the sites that were on there. We had many sites to carry out our culture and traditions and rituals, positive rituals. We had like all the flags of, you know, all the countries around the world. We had the communication site. We had so many sites. The pyramids, of course, where you could perform your garage, the inner journey. It was beautiful, right? And he said, only a devil would want to destroy something so beautiful. And it was an, what would we call it? Like, trying to think of the word. It's like, you know when you do something first and then you do it again? I'm trying to think of the right word. Like, yeah, I was going to say black print, but that came to me. But yeah, it was more like, okay, I can't think of a word, like a tester or something. So basically, you could say beta. But yeah, it was like the first version, let's see. And what he saw was the impact it had, where you had people from all walks of life, all colors, all religions, all types of people coming there, because the location of it was actually where a vortex was located as well. Even to the point where you had Tibetan monks coming there. You had all types of people who were vibrating on that frequency and that love, that shook. And people came, and every year more and more people were coming and carrying out their spiritual ritual known as the Mugaraj, right? So I'm saying that to say that the fact that it got destroyed by someone who saw this and thought, we cannot allow this to happen. People are coming from all walks of life, all colors, all, you know, from all type of, you know, backgrounds, and they're all getting on peacefully, no trouble, nothing, and people are going home satisfied, and they went about, you know, destroying it. But anyway, to get to the question, to the answer of your question, he said he would love to rebuild it again, and that would be, as you say, in Afafree Ka'a. So, yeah, and he said it will be much bigger, much better. And what you were saying when you said half minds is really half souls or full souls. So he said that the Nagaru or the Negroids in Africa, when it comes to the sun cycle, they're going to be activated because they have a more concentrated, heat or sun rays, and that's going to affect their melanin. And you can see already the uprising in terms of how people are feeling, in terms of, liberation and, just wanting to be free and so on. So that will be done again, but he says he doesn't want to build it where people hate, because that to destroy and want to destroy heaven on earth, because when you read the book of Revelations, it talks about, even when you say the Lord's Prayer, it says bring heaven down to earth. You see, so we brought heaven to earth, but those who didn't really resonate with it, didn't like what was happening, the adverse forces wanted to destroy it, and that's what we allowed them to do. So yes, it was also to show you that, well, it can't be done there, because it has to be done where people appreciate love, that type of thing. Yeah, so great question, and look out, it's coming, but it's down to us if we actually want it, if we unite under love, ashuk, and bring the master teacher home, and you will see, what we're capable of doing once we're as one mind, on nine mind, and working together. All right. Okay, let's see what's next. Remember, you can help us by liking this video. You can share, subscribe if you haven't already done so. You forget all the other channels. Just lock your channel on OSM Vision, because you get Wu-Sabat 24/7 now. And we're adding new content all the time. All right. Yeah, remember we have the 100K special Wu-Sabat documentary. If you haven't caught that, watch that as well. Okay, we're going to Amin Sudan. Greetings. I heard you break down your greeting, and that was amazingly powerful. Yes, thank you. Our greeting, everything the master does, every little thing has a reason, and nothing is done just for the sake of it. That's how his brain works. Everything connects and everything has a significance. All right. So yeah, because as we always say, like, tones, vibrations, and frequencies are so important. You don't meet someone and then say mourning, which is phonetically dealing with, you mourn at a sad occasion or a funeral, or say low vibration, as in hell is low, hello, hell is low, or hell is down, or, so we say Rahubat, which is greetings, tying in with, you look at the Ra, deals with the sun. Yes, there's a lot of levels to our stuff. Remember, you can call in live if you would like to ask your question live. Number is UK international code +44, and then you dial 753 996 3882. Call us and you can use your WhatsApp, and we'll take your questions. Okay, Check Chaser, I hear you say beings will come to Earth and we could end up on a breakfast plate. How can we protect ourselves? Right, so this is referred to as the food for the gods doctrine. I remember when the master teacher was, as usual, the first to start talking about this and break this down. And he was just explaining to us how the same way we look at animals, and because they're defenseless, we hunt them, unalive them for food. Cows, chickens, What else people eat everything, sheep, lamb, goats, duck, everything. They, you know, and he said that there are extraterrestrials who look at us as animals. It's just that we were lucky enough to be taken off of that food chain because we were given intelligence by way of our mixture with the Natharu or the supreme beings. And so he was saying that there are extraterrestrials that come here and look at this planet as, lack of a better word, a supermarket where they're coming for shopping, to take food, to go back home. And depending on how, what you do, what you put into your body, remember the phrase, you are what you eat? A lot of people are seasoning themselves by the things they eat. Your body, as most people know, is referred to as a temple. And within the temple, you have an altar. And this ties into the biblical stories as well, when you read Leviticus and those books of talking about how sacrifices were offered to the gods. And they would have burnt offerings, you know, carcasses and burnt animals and sprinkle blood all over the altar and things like that. Your body works in the same way because you have a fire, a real live fire in your, what we call your solar plexus, inside your chest. This is what provides the heat that keeps you alive. So when you're breathing, you're taking in oxygen and you're giving off or relaying out carbon dioxide. Carbon is a residue of when you burn something. So the burning is you taking food and taking things in that get burnt. When you eat, you break down the food by chewing it. A lot of people don't really chew their food properly, but you're supposed to chew it so that it will go through the digestive process easily. It breaks down into liquid, and the liquid gets burnt by the acid in your blood. And then because your body is porous, meaning you have pores in your body, then that comes back out through your pores. So you actually smell a certain way. And so what you eat is very important because you season your liver, your lung, and you smell a certain way. Animals can smell your scent, the way you smell. This is why, you know, when people are trying to hunt animals in the forest, for example, they can't find, or the animal eludes them because they can smell you before you even, you know, approach them. So what we're saying is that in the same process, if you drink, say, a lot of alcohol, then you're actually seasoning yourself in a particular way. If you eat particular types of food, you're seasoning yourself. And these extraterrestrials, they like that. And they like adrenaline as well. When you're afraid, and then, you know, if you're unalived at that moment, you send this adrenaline through your body, which then makes the meat taste a particular way to them, which they prefer. So yes, that's what that's referring to. So to take yourself off of the menu, the word menu has M-E-N in front of it, men, you. So to take yourself off of the menu, the master teacher has taught us that we need to stop eating blood meats and, you know, have a more vegan diet, or, you know, vegetarian, and work our way to not eating any flesh in terms of anything that has parents. Of course, some people are working their way to it. So it's not like, at the end of the day, you know the information, we give the facts, and then it's really down to you if you want to follow what the master teacher is teaching us. And he says that flesh eaters are not really able to progress to the higher realms or dimensions or go on certain crafts because they won't allow beings that, you know, eat flesh or blood meat, all right? So the way you can be protected is to change your diet, change the things that you put into your body so that you're not on the menu and you don't attract these beings by the way your scent and how you smell. Oh, right. That's. I mean, you said, what is the telephone number in the United States where I can call and ask questions live? You can use the WhatsApp number. The WhatsApp number is international. That's the one we keep giving you, so you don't have to incur charges. You just use WhatsApp and type that number. +44 is the UK code, and then 753-996-3882. It's also in the chat in the comment sections, okay? So you can use that number even from the US. Okay, so that's that question. Ashok Zamal, the master teacher will be free. 100% Pojo. That's, but you know what's important on that point? Sometimes it's a lack of, the master teacher teaches us that it's not what we do, it's what we don't do that has a massive impact and effect on holding us back. So, for example, we can say to everyone, we've got nearly 100 people on here right now, we can say, right, if everyone right here right now shares this with one person or invites one person, and we were able to succeed, we would double that number right now. And you may say, can we all do that right now? And everyone says yes. And then you say, let's do it. And then people don't do it. Some do, but the ones who don't do it. So it's more like, it's not what we do, but rather what we don't do that holds us back. So we've got to learn to move as one, to be able to do things in a way that has a major impact or massive impact. But yeah, so if we all do what we need to do, yes, the master teacher will be with us this year. The real time hits different, brother. I always go back and watch. Okay. Yeah, so again, I like that. We have to do things in real time, not his time. Flash 100%. Rahul Batsaken, I know there's a difference between existence and creation, and existence is eternal. But my question is, will creation get to a point of an end after the divine all collects all the information from every perspective and experience? Question is a little bit convoluted. Yeah, so I mean, existence will always be. Creation can come and go. So you can create something, but it doesn't last forever. A good analogy is this table is created from a tree, right? So the table can actually get old and, you know, cease to be of use, and it could actually get maybe destroyed or burnt or whatever. So this is why a lot of people are under the spell of religion when they start off with creation, and they think creation means like forever or the first time, and it doesn't. So to answer your question, yeah, existence is and always will be, and from existence comes creation. All right. Cola, in the video explaining Anunnaki, you said, okay, I've covered already. Oh no, you said it expired. What is the next? Or can you clarify, and or can you clarify, and how do it tie into the US being first Egypt? When people say the US is first Egypt, remember these words came way, way later. The landmass was actually all one, and I'm talking about before Pangaea, right? You had all the landmass as one, and the center of that landmass on the earth is where the pyramids were built, yeah? So the pyramids that, the Giza plateau pyramids I'm talking about, the ones that most people know, but there are many pyramids all over the world. South America, there are more pyramids in Sudan than anywhere else. There are pyramids underwater. There were pyramids all over the place because of their structure and their design in terms of the electromagnetic frequencies that they emit, the tachyon energy or tachyon frequencies, which are the the standard columnar waves, which forms that what people refer to as the double helix, and these were energy grids all around the planet. They were used for many things, to charge up the crafts, for schools of higher learning, with many mysteries being taught. So before the continental drift and before what is known as Africa drifted away from America, it was actually one place. Now when you say Egypt, the name Egypt came way later, because that area was known as Ganawa first, and you can hear the phonetics, Ghana, Ganawa. So what happened is that the same people migrated in different directions due to the continental drift. And so the Americans who are saying Egypt was America first, because obviously when you look at the dollar bill, the whole kind of like story of Egypt is on the dollar bill. You have the pyramids on there, the Eye of Horus, etc., the obelisk, etc. So people are forgetting that it's not really about where you are, it's about your DNA. Egypt was coined Egypt much later on by like the Greeks, from the word Aegyptos, because that described when the Hyksos came into Egypt, known as the Hyksos dynasty, and they were burnt by the sun, and they were referred to as Aegyptos, or burnt faces, those that were burnt by the sun. And that's how the word Egypt was coined. But yeah, we didn't even use that term. So what was the second? So what was the second part? Trying to find it. Yeah. So the people that say they're not African because they're in the US. There you go. How to tie it into the US being first Egypt? It's the same people, same DNA. And then obviously they became known as the Olmecs when they were on the side of the Americas. And those Olmecs, if you look at their features, look at their nose, look at those big heads that they find, big lips, big nose, look at their features and look at the features of the Tamarians or the beings from Afafre Ka'a, known today as Africa, or from where we used to call Ganawa. They look the same DNA, same people. All right, let's move on. Simply Velma Rahubat, Muesa Rahubat. Great work, OSM Vision. That's from DJ. Jason Mason, Rahubat. Buzzy B. When will the Dark One start hiding on the ground? We've got a call after. When will the Dark One start hiding on the ground? It's important as well when we ask questions, if we have a reference from one of the scrolls of Wu-Sabat, if that's a Wu-Sabat reference, we can...
Rahubat hiding on the ground.
Rahubat, caller. Terry, Rahubat.
Rahubat second.
Yeah.
Hey, Rahubat.
Anuki Kawas, how are you today?
I'm doing my best. How are you doing?
Yeah. So, what's your question?
I just had a question because I was looking at this scroll, the mind.
Tua.
Yeah. So I just wanted to. My first part of the question is because I was trying to tie it in with the other scroll I was reading regarding the Hermetic teachings and the existence. Everything is mental. Everything exists in the mental, like touch from the mental plane.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how can one know either operating from a programmed mind or just their original thoughts.
Because of the results.
Since everything is mental, how can one best know if they're operating from a frequency of the mind or in that context?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that from the results that you get, because the mind, in simple terms, the mind is the gateway for you to receive information. So the thoughts you receive from the higher realms, the master always says this, that when you monitor your mind and work with your mind, and the best phrase he uses is to mine your mind for the jewels of your soul. That's mine, as in M-I-N-E, the jewels of your mind, M-I-N-D, right, for the jewels of your soul. Meaning that your actions are based on your thoughts. And if you're doing the right thing, not just by yourself, but the greater good of others, right? So when you do things out of not being selfish, when you do things and you give based on your thoughts, so your thoughts will motivate you to do things that you're serving humanity freely. So there's no motivation in terms of any gains or any like monetary gains or anything. Then you're being of service to humanity, and therefore you're going to achieve more. So when you say, how will you know? If your thoughts are based on others, helping people, being mindful, caring, showing love, doing things that are going to help people, then it will work out. So you will know by the results, because another way of expressing this is that the master says that when you look at the results of his actions or his works, or if you shake the tree of, his works, only fruits you're going to bear fruits. So one way of doing it is to see, like, are your thoughts pure? Are they self-driven? Are you being selfish, or are you in service of humanity? And the more you do, they tell you in religion, take a step, in Islam especially, take one step towards Allah and Allah will take 10 towards you. Meaning that your ancestors and the beings that are vibrating on these higher vibrations, higher realms, will work with you, will help you to manifest those thoughts, if they're not based on you being selfish, me, myself, and I. If it's based on things that are going to benefit people, you will be successful. And your fruits that you bear will be the way you know that you're receiving pure thoughts. So that's how you will know, because of the results. You can't be, because people can think things, because we talk about manifestation, and it's like, you can think something and it won't come, or it won't manifest, and you'll be like, why isn't it working? There are different parts to it. The intentions you have behind why you're thinking what you want to do, and also the alignment with the greater good, or the bigger picture. Does it serve, well, for more than yourself? Does it serve, I keep saying the word humanity, but that's what basically, it's not just about, obviously there are people who can be successful by doing things, negative things, disagreeable things, or what they call successful. But eventually those things won't work out. It may seem or look at, initially like, we can give many examples that, people that are now falling down in the entertainment industry and many industries where they looked like they were doing well, but a lot of it was just really based on selfish gains and materialism, and not really thinking what's best for humanity. So yeah, your results will be the way you know if what you're doing is coming from pure thoughts. Okay, so it has not expired. It is still being fulfilled. Oh, I didn't, Buzzy B. When you say when will the dark one start hiding on the ground, I'm kind of trying to figure out who you're referring to as the dark ones. But if you're talking about the people that are bringing about the chaos on the planet, when they have like tunnels and underground bunkers and things like that, where they're going to try and escape to, they're not going to be able to escape because, as we've been taught, nature will find them, especially water will find underground tunnels and still find them, and yeah, they will still meet their judgment. If you're talking about, sorry, back, caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question?
Ashok, brother, Sakat again from Arizona.
Ashok Zamal. How are you?
My question is, I'm good, brother. I'm really, really good. I'm kind of in a phase right now in my journey where I'm close, but I gotta tighten some things up. But my question is, I notice a lot of people, who call themselves, I hate the term woke, but on their spiritual journey, I'll say that, they feel like they're above others or like they're superior in some way.
Yeah.
Have they're still lost. Like there's false truths out there. I'm starting to realize, like, there's the ultimate truth, and then you have others who kind of lost their way. They're kind of on the right track, but then like they don't realize. Like, for example, I have a homegirl who thinks, like, she understands the spiritual side, but she doesn't understand the history in a sense of, like, the Bible. She quotes the Christian Bible a lot, or I should say, the Judaism Bible a lot, or the Abrahamic religions. And I try to tell her, I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because you say you know the truth and all this and that, but you don't even realize where that comes from, It's like that comes from the Anunnaki, like, just like how we talked before, where you put me on to where I started researching after about the Sumerians and how they try to lie to us and say the Sumerians came first when really Egypt came, or Kemet, whatever, that part was first, and she doesn't understand this. And I keep trying to tell her, I'm like, it's kind of hypocrisy, because you keep going off of, and she said this, and I researched it, and then she gets offended when I try to say, I don't try to challenge her. I just try to say in a sense of, show me where you learn this. And then she says, well, it's just how you interpret the Bible. I'm like, I can't listen to you with this Bible stuff. Like, I just can't. Like, just knowing the history, I'm like, stop it. I'm not, and I don't feel like I'm like judging her. But at the same time, I'm like, I think I need to disassociate myself, because it just, like I said, there's so many truths out there, but there's also the real ultimate universal truth. And I feel like a lot of people, they may even be seeking it, but they just lost their way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, because we know the way is Patarak, Wu-Sabat.
Right.
And we have to remember that everyone's at a different level in their journey. And one of the things, based on what you've just said, that I would say you should do is walk her through the Bible. Don't say, I don't want to hear it, I don't want to listen to it. You've got to, this is why we were taught and we use and walk people through the Bible, because if that's all they are at the present time, then you have to actually go through it and walk them through it, and so that you can show them. But if you just cut it off or cut them off, then they're just gonna be, it's like, we don't want to be confrontational. The ego is something as well that we have to basically be constantly aware of, even as Nuwapians, Sabians, and many people. That's why the books like The Mind, like Your Potential, these books will help people to be able to remember, at the end of the day, there's one being on this planet that has been sent to come and bring this new cycle in, right? So you've got your example as well, and the way you deal with her is going to be the way to help. And sometimes you just have to point her into a class, into reading some of the master teacher's scrolls, in addition to her reading the Bible. So we're not going to be like completely dismissive, like don't read it. And that's why we walk people through the Quran and the Bible and these, but we don't want to get stuck in them. But if somebody's, that's where they're at, you've got to go to their level and walk them through it, and then they will kind of be more receptive. If you just kind of like shut off, then yeah, it's not going to be the best approach. So we also have to be humble enough to remember that we were once where they're at. But you're right, there are people who think they're woke, and it's become another one of those cliche words that people just said, yeah, I know about all that. Yeah, I'm awoke. Yeah, I'm conscious. Until you start to speak on a higher level, because we're all learning and constantly growing. So no one should be in a position that they're feeling like they know it all and they don't have anywhere to go. The master says that in your potential book, that never think of yourself so high like there's nothing more to learn, or so low that you feel that, you know, you can't get up. So it's about the balance at the end of the day. So yeah, we just got to be able to, like I said earlier on, it's not about what you do, but what you don't do. And one of the things where we can end up doing is, instead of saving souls, we can actually lose souls by the way we deal with, you know, how we handle the situation. So it may not be you that needs to help her. It may be you pointing in the direction, like I said, to a class, to a video, to one of the master's scrolls, and that will be what will, you know, do it for her. So I hope that helps. All right, let's keep going. Can you define the karmic body and how, this is from David Watson, and how to cleanse the karmic body? Again, this is all related in terms of your physical body and the things you do, and your thoughts and your etheric body, because people use different terms to describe, like, you know, the higher vibrations of your being, which we know as, you know, the spiritual being, the etheric being, the mental being. So they're all related. So what you eat and how you think and what you do in terms of how much you know of your body. And this is one of the first things the master told us, that the first thing we should do is learn about our bodies, learn about, you know, the fuel that our body needs, things like exercising, things like relaxation, things like meditation, being mindful. It's all of it is part of how you cleanse yourself. And of course, diet and things like that are very important. So the way you do it is drink lots of water, eat lots of vegetation, eat foods that are alive, watery foods, because your body is electricity. The way, that's what I mean by learn how your body works. How does your nervous system work? How does signals get communicated to your brain, to your mind, and how does the energy flow around your body, and what you're calling the seats or your chakras, you know, their energy centers. How do you align them? How do you get them to work and turn on or activated? The mental, what do you think all day? You know, so all of these things go hand in hand in terms of how you cleanse yourself. Fasting is a great way of doing that. Taking in liquids, especially, you know, water. Okay, so Aket Kaba S. Unk. The question I have, why did you put the black lines on the sister's face? Which sister's face?
I think they're talking about the pause button. That's the only
Oh, okay. No, what it is, if we're thinking what you're saying, if you're talking about the 3 questions that we get, So what happens is that every time we're answering the question, we will pause. You know the pause symbol when you look at on the phone or any media player, you have play, you have stop, you have pause. So we pause it after the first question, we answer it, then we unpause it to listen to the second question, and then we pause it. So it's just a pause symbol. All right. Hope that helps. Was it you or YouTube? Aket, that was us. Okay. Prototype, thank you. That Nakti, Habtui. That's what I was trying to remember the word when I was saying about we built Tamaray as a prototype, Egypt of the West, in view of rebuilding a much grander and bigger one that's going to have a much bigger impact on the world. Yes. So Nakti, thank you for that. Rahubat, gotcha. Let's keep going. Yes, of course. Remember to join the Telegram group. Any newcomers, if you haven't joined the Telegram group already, Telegram is an app like WhatsApp, and we're answering questions constantly in that Telegram group, and we want to get as many people in the group because you can always ask your question, and we have other student teachers as well in the group that are doing a fantastic job of answering people's questions. So yeah, once you join the Telegram group, I remember one of the newcomers was like, he took the time to read every single question and answer, and it was over 4,000 posts. But by doing that, you will really expedite and speed up your learning. And there are lots of images, excerpts, diagrams, and things that are posted to help answer the questions. So when you get into the Telegram group, you can actually use the search facility to search a term or a question that you may have, because the likelihood is that it may have already been answered. So use that facility to search once you're in the Telegram group and get answers. Check Chaser, do you fear spreading the same knowledge as the master teacher that the kidnappers will target you? Man, like, that's another thing with us. Fear of the unknown. The only thing to really fear is fear itself, because really we're living in a day and time of truth, and the way people express this is you have to stand for something or you will fall for anything. And what's best to stand for than truth? And truth is the currency. Everybody wants the truth now, that people have been lied to for so long that truth is needed now to help humanity. All right, we've got another call. Greetings, caller. Where are you calling from? What's your name and what's your question, please?
Sakai again, brother, from Arizona.
Yeah, brother.
Another question, brother. One of the things I heard was that the Bible was based off of another book from us, but from my research, it's just based off of the Sumerian tablets.
So you're saying that the Bible was what?
I was told that the Bible was based off of an older book that was only actually related to us as being melanated people only, and that, but from my research, I only see the Bible as a copy from the Sumerian tablets.
No.
So I want to know if that's true.
All right. So remember when you were saying that we said, or I explained to you that ancient Egypt, well, people call Egypt anyway, predates the Sumerian tablets. But the reality is that when you look at the Bible, it's coming from Egypt, meaning that the ties to Egypt in the Bible should give you the answer or the clue. Like, why does Egypt play such a prominent part in the Bible? Meaning that everyone went to Egypt. Moses was supposedly found in a basket in Egypt. Abraham went to Egypt. Joseph and his whole family were in Egypt. Jesus was taken to hide in Egypt. The reason is because the whole concept of the Bible comes from Egypt in terms of the basic stories. Like you have the sun. When you really look at the sun, as in the most popular person in the Bible is this Son of God. But what they've done is they've superimposed the SON over the SUN, because it's really talking about the sun, as in the sun that is 93 million miles away, created 93 billion years ago. That is the sun. Without the sun, no one will survive on the planet. So when you look at it, everything relates to the sun, and that's where you get the prominent characters are Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And that ties into, when you say horizon, you're saying Horus is rising, dealing with the sun of God, right? And Osiris, if you look at the O and the beginning of the word of Osiris, that's dealing with the sun. And when they talk about Jesus walking on the water, etc., that's when you see the sun rising, it seems to traverse the sky on the water. You see the halo that Jesus and most of these characters have around their head, that's relating to the sun. The solar plexus, where you see, you know, they always show like a picture of Jesus with this light emanating from his heart seat, which is dealing with the solar plexus. Solar relates to the sun. So the entire Bible is based on the stories of ancient Egypt. Even when you look at Heliopolis, which is dealing with the city of the sun. So you have Thebes, Heliopolis, and Memphis. That's all dealing with, Helios deals with the sun. So when you go to ancient Egypt and look at how significant the sun was, is that the sun gave the rays that heal everyone. And even till today, if you read, you know, the books of Malachi chapter 4, which is, you know, the ending of what they call the Old Testament, it's talking about the sun of righteousness coming with healing in its wings. This is all related to the sun. And that's why we say that it ties into ancient Egypt. The monotheistic religions, the Western religions, all come from the sun, because even in Islam, for example, their prayers that they say they do every day, the 5 prayers, they can't do that without the motion of the sun, because you need to know what time it is to do Maghrib, to do Al-Fatiha, to do these prayers, and to do, you know, so everything's based on the motion of the sun. Now, what happens is that when you start to look at the sun, you're dealing with the sun cycle, and then you have the moon cycle. And 6 ether beings that existed in the last 6,000 years, they turned everything backwards to moon worship. So it's because the moon doesn't have any light, because they know that without the sun there is no life. So they deal with dead, or they worship the dead. And this is where even the Book of the Dead, as they call it, comes from the coming forth by day, which is the book that they now term the Book of the Dead. And then you start to look at, we did a video actually called The Book of the Dead, which deals with how they've turned everything into 6 ether, into moon worship. And so they try to, the dead, as in the ghost, being their version of the sun, which is, they say, God the Father, God the Son, which is obviously the SON, and then the Holy Ghost, because the ghost is a dead being that they give the energies to. So in that regard, all the religions come from ancient Egypt. And the Sumerians are just like a bridge before it becomes the monotheistic religion, because they chose Abraham from Mesopotamia, and the Anunnaki chose him as their patriarch to push the ghost worship. Does that make sense?
So, yeah, it does. So then, because I told you before, like I have a calling in my soul, or like a guy that keeps telling me I need to go to Egypt. But why do I keep hearing about this whole thing of America is the original. I don't feel anything in this land.
Yeah, I know, but that's now what it is. Remember, we had Tamaray, Egypt of the West. That's the whole point why the master put it in America, so that people didn't have to go all the way to Egypt. Obviously, your DNA and your ancestors are tied into ancient Egypt, but those same ancestors were the same ones that owned what we call America today. So you have the same bloodline tied to America, and the whole point of putting Tamaray of the West in the US was so that people can go there and perform and experience Egypt in its fullness, and perform the spiritual rituals like the Mugaraj to connect them back with their ancestors. Or, you know, we used to say that when you did that inner journey.
Oh, so does this mean like is the master teacher then it sounds like a kind of like the Egyptian wars with Sumerian tablets in the sense of I can't remember his name, but he was one of the sons of the
Oh, good, you
Anunnaki at
can't go
that
look.
time. But he came to America
That's right.
and he started up over here.
Yes, and this is what I'm saying to you, that if you study, right, even the name, like let me just give you a little excerpt from the same book I just mentioned called The Coming Forth by Day, right? The first picture on the page you turn to, I'm gonna put it up so you can see it, right? Shows you the Pharaoh, right? This Pharaoh's name is Amunubi Ra'akata, right? This is another name that describes the master teacher. Now, when you break that word down, Amun Nubi Ruakta, right? It translates as the faithful informer, soul of the Pataites. So, what I'm saying is, he's that Patar, that soul that we are all connected to as the rays of the sun. And when you start to read, and he enacted a ritual that was not done for over 10,000 years. This was bringing in this sun cycle as Osiris, okay, who is obviously the deity that I was just mentioning, that, you know, the monotheistic religions grafted, and they actually dug up, you know, Osiris and took DNA and everything. And once they find him, it confirms that his family existed, i.e. his wife
Right.
being Isis, his son Horus, and the whole thing about Jesus comes from that story, but it ties into Amun as well, right? Because Amun is that son, that being that kept reincarnating over and over again. So yeah,
Right.
this is where the Egyptian mystery schools had the original, what we call the higher mysteries, and the lower mysteries were taught to the Europeans, and this is how they basically grafted their religions from. And it ties into the whole thing with the lighthouse and the phallus, because when you look at the minaret, or you look at the what they call the obelisk, that is tying into the story of Horus. Because remember, the whole thing with Seth and Osiris is that Seth tricked his brother Osiris, and then, you know, tricked him into, he basically said he got him a present, which was this beautiful sarcophagus, which he was basically saying that, you know, he's going to give it to him as a present. He told him to get inside of it to see if it fitted, but he was betrayed, and then he got chopped up into 14 pieces and then scattered all over Egypt. And as the story goes, you know, obviously Isis had to find the pieces and put them back together. And
Right.
the last piece that was found was his phallus. And through rituals, this is how Horus was born. And then he was able to, this is where the whole Madonna and child comes in, because it's really talking about Isis and Horus. And the whole thing was that he was going to grow up and revenge his father. And that's kind of like what happened. But that phallus is where it's symbolically referring to the penis, and that's why you see all the religious buildings in the monotheistic religions will have a dome. The dome represents the mammary gland, or the female breast when she was suckling Horus, and then of course the what they call the obelisks, which we knew as the ben. When you break down the word ben, you see how it ties into Islam and into monotheistic religions, Hebrew, with Ibn or Ben, as in Ben, when you're dealing with the
Right.
son. That's what Ben
Right.
refer, the son of a son, which you're really dealing with, the son of Osiris being a son and Horus being a son. So you say Ben, or the son of a son. And as I said, it ties into the city of the sun, dealing with, it's all Egyptian stories that have been relayed but copied over to.
And these are all Anunnaki, essentially, right?
No, that's what I'm saying, that the Anunnaki stories pick up with that story that I've just given you being broken into Damuzi being like the father, and then you
Okay.
have Ishtar being Isis, and then you have Tammuz as your horror story. You see, so it's
Gotcha.
like the same story being remixed and being retold throughout different cultures, but it becomes the Anunnaki story because, as you said, you're dealing with Tammuz. Tammuz now
Right.
being that Jesus figure, and obviously, as I said, Damuzi being his father, and then Ishtar, and that Ishtar ties into Esther, into Easter, where people are celebrating Easter in Christianity, but that's going back to Ishtar, you see, and she's known by many names throughout the different cultures, just like, Horus is known by many names and Osiris is known by many names, but ultimately, yeah, to answer your question,
Right.
those are Egyptian mystery stories that have been basically grafted into the Anunnaki stories and then into the monotheistic religions by way of Abraham.
Oh, wow. So you're saying, though, that they have nothing to do with the Anunnaki whatsoever. They're not Anunnaki.
Who's that?
The Egyptian.
No, they're not. The thing is, this is one of the biggest problems
That's
because a
crazy.
lot of people are related to the Anunnaki because a lot of people are under the school of religion. And so when you then tie the tablets where these stories are copied from that have been actually found, it goes into these Anunnaki tablets. So a lot of people are familiar with Anunnaki, but when you start to talk about the Parnatharu, the overseers, the beings that actually
Right.
came to this planet first and seeded this planet, our ancestors, many people are not familiar with that because we're starting to teach that information, and this is what Parna Babyanun started to give us because we walked past the Anunnaki stories, the Sumerian stories, and then he was starting to
Right.
go into our stories, and then because at that point it was like becoming clearer and clearer, he got kidnapped, and so we still learned throughout those schools he was giving us. He would still introduce us to, like Ptah and Bes, and it will introduce us to, the sun, because when you look at the motion of the sun, this became that whole aton, and amun, and then he explained about the nun, or the waters where you go under. So that motion of the sun rising all comes from the positions of the sun in ancient, what we call Tamaray, as Atumre, Atunre, Amunre. You see, and this is what became known by the Sumerians as the three positions of the sun as Apsu, Tamat, and Shamash. You see, so you can literally align the stories of the Sumerian being taken from ancient Egypt. But when they flip mode it, people were taught that the Sumerians were the beginning or the first, which is not actually true, because many
Right.
artifacts have been found in Shinar or Sumer or in the Sumerian regions that are from Egypt, and they predate a lot of the Sumerian. And you can find this in we have a book called the language of time, Yeah, so that book goes into the details of what I'm saying. Yeah.
So what's crazy is I was reading the Master Teacher's the book that he has on like Trump that I think is Trump at least.
Yeah.
The Beast, the 666.
Yeah.
I'm on the second book right now.
Yeah, this
And he
one,
explains,
that's the second book you're talking. I got it just showing that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it explains, or he's explaining, I'm sorry, that America is the beast
Right.
and America is the dragon. And
No, China is the dragon. America is the eagle.
well, I'm sorry, I just mean like the beast, like the monster in general. Yeah, so like, but what? And then I see. Have you heard of this Mahdi dude who's came out, or the Mahdi
The
from the
Mahdi.
Middle East somewhere?
Yeah, the Mahdi. That's the bloodline of the prophet, the real prophet Muhammad, that ties into the master teacher because that's his grandfather. So from his loins would come the guide. So his name, when we were going through the school of Islam, was Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, the Mahdi from Sudan, who was that great warrior.
So okay, so I'm glad I'm on point then, because every time I see him, like I haven't like really, I've listened to him for maybe like a few hours,
Yeah.
but I feel something powerful through him, even through the screen. And I try to tell other people, you know, who so-called call themselves on their journey or woke, and they're like, nah, he's false, whatever. And then I was thinking, I was like, they're already trying to claim he's Antichrist. To me, that shows proof that he is good, you know, when you know the history behind, you know, the Bible and everything, the people who run this organization over here. To me, the Antichrist means someone who is actually going to come up and actually help us. You know what I mean? So I don't sense anything bad about him. I sense that he's very powerful, but that's crazy that you say he's actually tied to the master teacher.
That's
because
right.
like a lot of people I surround myself with, they're very, you know, there's nothing wrong with being pro, but I also believe you have to elevate yourself to look past a complexion at some point. So the fact that he's not melanated like that, but he's still tied to the master teacher is amazing to me, and also gives me confirmation that I am on point.
No, what it is, again, there are, like we always explain, you have the real Mahdi and you have a fake one. You have a real Muhammad and you have a fake one. And this is where the confusion is caused, because someone might speak about someone and you go and look at them and they're not the real one. And then it creates confusion, you see. So a lot of the Arab worlds don't accept or want to accept who he is in terms of his bloodline, but it's everything correlates in terms of, that's why his whole life has been publicly, you know what I mean, like scrutinized. People want to know everything about him, but he is that being that's been sent to bring about this right knowledge and right wisdom, and no matter what people say or do, the truth is the truth and will prevail. So yeah, I mean, everyone has a different experience. That's right. I don't know how you're going to share that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So that's a picture showing you the real, the bloodline. And there's a book called, there's an actual fact called The Guidance. You really should read that if you can get hold of The Guidance.
The Guidance.
Yeah.
Do you guys have it? Or can I buy it from you guys?
Yeah, we have it.
Or is it just a random book? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the picture right there. So that shows Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, and then it shows his father, right, which is Sayyid al-Hadi al-Rahman, and then you see the Mahdi. So it shows you him, his father, and his grandfather.
Wow. So you believe that? Because in my heart, or like my spirit, when I see him and I see him speak, I feel like he's legit. Do you?
Of course, 1000%.
Okay.
There's no one more legit. That's why, going back to the question somebody was asking me about how I feel about spreading this, it's because when it touches your soul, when it really like has such an impact on you, and you do your research, you check everything out, you compare him to anyone else out there teaching. Nobody does what we do. Nobody on the
Right.
planet actually says, "Come and ask us anything." And
Exactly.
like he's
That's
been
what caught
doing
my
this.
attention.
Yeah, he's been doing this for years, and the reason for that is because you will decipher yourself and feel people's energies and feel whether or not it's connecting and making sense to you. And then you just
Hmm.
read one book and put it to the test. Go out there and, speak to people. And like you say, you were speaking to that sister and you can hear when
Hmm.
things are not adding up. But at the same
Right.
time, as powerful as this doctrine is, he comes as a lamb as well. He's a lion and a lamb at the same time. And so you need to know when to have that approach, which is dealing with compassion, ashuk, divine love, and, subduing the ego, etc. There's no
Right.
recording I've ever heard of him where he's not expressing that type of care, you see, and but it has to be a warring angel as the angel Michael, with that
Hmm.
roaring thunder, where he's here to shut down all falsehood and misinformation and set the record straight. So people get upset when they're told the truth, but the thing is, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth because it's a little bit bitter, but the truth
Hmm.
is what will make you free, or so sometimes. And it's funny because in fact, I'm doing a class this Saturday called what did I call it, the waiting game. Because people are waiting around for something that is already here.
And that's what infuriates me. What you just said right there. Like, I have people around me who, they're scared to even say certain things about certain people, to call out the truth out of fear. And they're like, it's not time yet. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not time yet? To me, in my spirit, I feel like it's beyond time. Like, I have no fear. I will
That's
say
right.
whatever I want to say. Like, I don't feel like I can be touched just because I'm walking in the power. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I feel like I
right.
could just walk through them. Like, now is the time to me. And it disgusts me when I hear other people claim, they're powerful in this and they're powerful in that, yada, 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 but yet they let words control them.
Yeah,
Out of
fear.
fear.
Remember, fear is that false. What I say? False. What's the phrase I use?
Something appearing.
Evidence. That's it. False evidence appearing real. And yeah, fear is. Remember, fear is something that has been used by way of these books, the Bible, the Quran. That you're gonna get burnt up. You're not allowed to ask questions because you're gonna blaspheme, and like
Hmm.
that fear. And even when you start to look at things like slavery and the things that have been done by people who literally put that fear of, as they said, a fear of God in you. But why should you fear God if God is meant to be a loving, caring being? So people are afraid because they've been kind of like subjugated into telling lies. As subtle as it is, it's like, are you interested in the truth? Do you want to know the
Right.
truth? If you don't want to know the truth, then in a way, you're part of the problem because you want to perpetrate lies.
Check these in case he's talking about the same person. The people are saying he's talking about a YouTuber.
Oh, what, on the chat?
Yeah, just the last ones.
Okay. Fear, false education, appearing real.
Talking about a YouTuber.
Are you confusing the brother? You're not giving him clarity because he's talking about someone totally different. Are you even reading these comments? Let me go back. Bro, he's not talking about the master teacher. He's talking about the white YouTuber. Oh, who is that? So I'm reading the
Huh?
comments and I'm getting, they're saying that I'm not relating to who you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the Mahdi. He's Arab.
That's what I'm saying. That we just showed you the real picture of the real Mahdi. So if there's another one, that won't be the right one. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
I'm talking about the one that we both been talking about. Like, he's been having his sermons and everything, like in front of people.
yeah. I mean, the master's got a lot of videos on YouTube, but I don't know if you're referring to his videos. This is why I think people are saying in the chat that you're talking about do you have is there any like titles or videos of the person you're talking about? If we're talking
Yeah, I can send them to you. How would I send it to you?
WhatsApp it on that same number that you're talking on.
Okay, let me
Yeah,
show
because
you right now.
we need to make sure. I thought you were talking about the same person, but it seems like people are saying we're not. Is it WhatsApp? Okay, but we'll check it out and then I'll comment on it.
Okay, I got you. Thank you, brother.
All right.
Hey.
Tell you what. Assalam, Mahdi. Thank you for for pointing that out. We'll check it out. He's talking about the YouTuber. Okay. He's talking about the YouTuber who's making videos right now. He's not talking about the one of the Sudan. He's talking about Al-Sadiq Abdullah Hashim. He's the fake Mahdi. Okay, yeah. So, if it's not the one we showed you, then he's a fake one. All right. Let's go back to where I was. Yeah, sorry, sometimes we get, the comments are coming fast, so I may be talking and answering someone's question and not paying attention because there are so many comments in the chat. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, man, let's go back to the questions.
Yeah, they're saying it's a white YouTuber who calls himself the Mahdi.
Oh, okay.
So it might be someone random.
All right, we'll have to put him to the test. People should put him to the test. Let's see if he... Okay, that's clear then. Where was I? I'm trying to find... Okay, that was it. Do you fear spreading the same knowledge? Not at all. Wu-Sabat to the world. Wu-Sabat is the future. Truth is truth. That's what they do. They use fear to make people not speak truth. So if you don't speak truth, then you're just as bad because you're being converted. Fear, yeah. Thanks, Patar Sunra. Fear is nothing that's low vibrational. True that. David, I read a quote, numbers is the essence, a very beginning of all things. Your take on that, as in math created? No, not because mathematics or numbers have an origin or a beginning, and when you're dealing with extraterrestrials, they're not using the same math system and numbers that we are familiar with, because we're using like base 10, and when you start to deal with higher intelligence or beings, especially when you're dealing with digital, is zeros and ones, you see, which is binary. And that's because they can process binary much quicker. So obviously numbers are for our comprehension because we're taught the number system, and it goes from 0 to 9, but we know that, that's just to give us a way of calculating things. But the supreme mathematics and other forms of mathematics are much more advanced. So even when you're looking at just basic maths that we have, you have like equations, and you have, algebra, and you have different types of maths that if you looked at it, it's not even numbers a lot of the times, because you're using, equations and using all types of different symbols. So numbers are good in terms of scientifically being able to like quantify things, but even when you say numbers, you have fractions. See, so we've got another call.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take. Hey, greetings, Rahul back. Kaiser, long time.
Oh, that's the Kim picked up. What? Oh, yo,
Rahul
you're
back.
tuning in.
Yeah.
Rahul back, bro. Kim, how you doing? It's good to hear from you, bro.
Likewise.
Oh my gosh. It has been a while. It's been a long time.
Tua.
Tua. I just do my work as a in the Board of Education as a sub teacher, paraprofessional. So yeah, I'm with kids all day.
All right.
making sure they don't run out the school, on the streets. So
Yeah.
I've been busy with that, but also study in the weekends, so I barely have enough time, But I'm really glad I saw you're alive. I said I'm gonna call you, and then talk to you a little bit, and when I get home, I'm gonna call again, like in 30 minutes. But
Sure.
but how has everything been, man? How are you and your family?
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing our best. Just constantly putting out content with your support and the family on OSM Vision.
So
So
yeah,
we're just putting in the work.
Congratulations on what's the views you got? 100,000 now.
100K
on subscribers.
Yeah, that's
100K
right.
subscribers. I watched that live.
Yeah,
I was cheering for you.
amazing.
I was congratulating you when I saw it.
But we got a
yeah.
long way to go. The next one is 1 mil, so we need everyone to help us do that. And that's through watching the videos, sharing, liking, and just constantly, being on it. Yeah, we got to get to 1 billion people.
I always share 9 times, like you say, 9 times sharing.
That's right.
I share the link 9 times.
That's
and
good.
I just see my friends, people, they just started just loving it. So hopefully each person share to another person, and that's how it multiplies, It becomes big. Like, it's gonna be worldwide. You gotta pass Mr. Beast though,
Oh yeah.
on YouTube. He's a guy that 20 million, because he gets 20 million views, each little video he do.
Yeah.
And he did a video when he went into a pyramid. I watched that.
Yeah, we saw that. We watched
anything he talks about, anything he tweets, if he texts something, people automatically know about it. So imagine OSM and Wu-Sabat had that much reach,
Well, that's what we're trying to do, man.
Like.
We want everyone to share, and we actually dealing with. I mean, that video he was, kind of like they were taking a bit of a. They made it into entertainment, like. This is serious information that we're kicking out here, right? Knowledge, right? Wisdom.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Everyone watches it and watches his stuff, and it's like they don't really go deeper into it. They know what they do. They know what they do. It's not like I don't like Mr. Beast. I like his content. He does donations. He makes wells in Africa stuff, but. We want to grow our minds more than just.
That's right. 100%.
Like, by the way, you saw the thing they show on Twitter. They show what do you think? What is the answer? 100 men versus 1 silverback gorilla. Like, who's gonna win in the fight? That's what they're talking about on Twitter.
I ain't seen that. I know. I haven't seen that.
That's all over the internet. That's all over the internet now.
Okay. Yeah. I'll have to check that out. I don't know what that's about. It might be a distraction, but.
Yeah, they're distracting people. That's what I'm saying. That's the level they're gonna go to. Right. Everyone, they're talking about basically nothing on your hands. It's just a 1 silverback gorilla versus 100 men. That's what they want you to look at. That has 20 million views on Twitter or whatever. So this is like that's what people are talking about.
Yeah. That's a distraction, but I mean, we need to be aware of what's going on in the world in terms of current affairs, but we also have to not be easily distracted, because normally when they do these types of things, there's something important that they're trying to take your attention away from. So we have to be mindful of these types of things.
I mean, yes, Kim. I'm in Brooklyn, and then there was a boat that just crashed on the Brooklyn Bridge too.
Yeah, I saw that on the
news. In New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was in the pier. I saw that boat. They had a Mexican flag on it. I'm like, what are they doing? Like, who's keep on messing around in this? Like, somebody's mad or something, but they crashed a wood boat on the bridge. It's like, what do you think? Is that omen, or is that a sign or something? Why they do that for?
That's what I'm saying. We can't just speculate on, different things that are happening. But yeah, unless we get a breakdown from the master teacher, then we can relate. But until then, we just know that a lot of these things are just distractions, and we're living in a day and time. Don't people see the world? The world is really like, it's falling to pieces. The sixth ether world is actually just coming down, and you're going to see so many things that relate to it just coming down, because we're in that day and time, and we all need to just focus on Wu-Sabat, get the truth out, and just make everyone
Yeah.
aware of, you know, what we're dealing with right now, which is, the master teacher coming home. All right.
Yeah, so yes, exactly, Sakem. So yeah, I would actually suggest what you can do to help people that are the NPCs in the world or stuck in the matrix, people that just believe they are just doing one purpose. Like for example, they do an office job and that's all their purpose is. Like how you can help them because like you said, if the matrix falling down and then what's going to be left for them? It's like they got nothing left. So
Yeah,
like
this is
the
why we've got to
game
reach
too.
as many people as possible so they know that there is an alternative, you know, outcome in terms of where things are going, and that's what Wu-Sabat's here to do, because it's just like there is a question that drives somebody. So even if they're caught up in the matrix, deep down there's something that they know is not right. Just like the movie The Matrix, it was like the question is what drives you, you know, and until you get those answers, you're gonna be wondering what's
Yeah, the
what's
quest.
going on. Yeah, so yeah.
So,
But yeah, I've got
all right,
other
thank you,
other
bro.
questions to take. So yeah, wanna
Just a
appreciate
quick
love.
call. Just a
Yeah,
quick call. Yeah,
no problem.
appreciate love talking to you, bro.
All right, man.
I didn't expect to talk to you, but yeah, keep doing what you're doing, bro, and
Tawat.
wake up people's mind. But I love a video about Mother Sophia Stewart, the woman who wrote the book on the Matrix and the Terminator.
Mm-hmm. I didn't hear that last one.
How she was able to write that book?
Yeah,
Because
I
that book
mean
is mad.
that's what
mad
made
cool.
the movies. Yeah, so great books.
Yes, cool.
All right.
Thank you, bro. All right,
Take care.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So
Wadu.
bye bye.
All right, let's see. People are saying they can't get through, but it may just be the way you're putting in the numbers in your phone. Just save it the way we say +44 753 996 3882. Just save it like that in your WhatsApp and then try and call again. All right. Okay. I hope you guys have pressed the like button and you're, you know, helping us so we can actually beat the algorithm. Are those 3 books in the background available? Which ones? I don't know which 3 you're referring to. There's so many books. But yeah, there will be, or there may be. With the books, there may be some that you can just like find online, and others will be available shortly. So we'll keep you posted. This is why you should join the Telegram group so that we can keep you updated in real time. Marumir, yeah, I've got to come back to you regarding that the book. So yeah, leave that with me. As you know, I wasn't too well last week, and yeah, I'm just like really back now. So I will be picking up on the things I haven't addressed. So yeah, leave that with me, and I'll come back to you on that in the group or in the Telegram. All right. J. Deshawn. Yep, the Yuga cycle of the golden age has begun. The age of Aquarius is here. Now we rise. Yeah, you're right. This is the cycle of the sun cycle, and it's important to raise your vibration so that you can receive outformation by way of Wu-Sabat, right knowledge, right wisdom, right understanding that will lead you to sound right reasoning. Yeah, so this is what they're trying to dumb you down and keep you away from your destiny, and you have to fight the power. Okay, we got another call? Yep. Oh, okay. Rahubat caller, what's your name? Where you calling from and what's your question, please?
Rahubat Saken, this is Kenyan Mwangi from Kenya, Nairobi.
Rahubat, Jamal.
Yeah, so first of all, pass my greetings to Asaru. I know he's in his travels and adventures.
Yeah, he is indeed, yeah.
So today's question was about, I'm not sure if it is the end of season 1 or beginning of season 2. You talked about the year when new souls came in the planet. Mm-hmm. So I would like probably if you can maybe repeat on that. And also I wanted to know if there was a mixture, like did the other souls stop coming? Like, was it the end of the 24,000 years for other souls, or the other? What happened with the souls that were here and the souls that were previous?
Okay.
That's
So
all. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just trying to recollect. I think it's 1973 to 2003. It sounds right, but I'm somehow my mind is the new souls. Yeah, if any brothers are in the chat, that sounds right. But I'm kind of a little bit. My mind's telling me they might. Yeah, but
1973 to 2003.
yeah, that's what I just said.
That's the golden children.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's correct. So, right, let's explain that. So, souls recycle, spirits recycle. Some beings are on their 24 to 24,000 cycles. And when we say new souls, we're saying new souls that came down here for the first time. That doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't been in existence or have been elsewhere in the cosmos. But it was taught to us by Pana Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, that those new souls to this planet for the first time are the ones that were born in the period between what did I just say, 73? 1973 and 2003, okay? But that the old souls still come, they still recycle because they still have to fulfill their purpose. So we're not saying that other souls didn't come back or didn't come during that time. It's just that those ones, it's their first time here. Because you'll hear people say they're old souls, or they will know or feel like they've been here before. And so that's the separation or the distinction between those new souls that came in for the first time during that period. All right? Let's keep going. Okay, yeah, Marame, I can only say Nadum, which means sorry. We'll definitely get back to you on that. Maria, when did 9 ether beings surroundings turn into 6 ether in order to put them to sleep, and how was the change from 9 to 6 ether done? Right, it's like 9 ether is always available, and it's not like 9 ether goes away. It's just like the sun, right? The sun is always shining, even though during what, like now where people say the sun has set, but it doesn't set. That just goes back to that story of, as I was saying, Osiris and Seth, which became sunset, right? But the sun just goes into what we call a shadow, or the planet goes into what we call a shadow state. So I'm relaying that to say that when it goes into the period where people refer to it as night, people say night as if to say the sun has gone away or the sun has set, because of the way you've been taught that the sun's motion is it rises and then it sets, and it doesn't. It just deals with the way that the planet has been designed to have one side cooling off so that it doesn't overheat, and then it rotates, and the other side that is facing the sun gets the heat, and it has to constantly do that rotation where one side of the world is in what people call, we refer to as a shadow, because just like when you have something where you have the sun and then you have a shadow that blocks away the intensity of the sun, right? So in the same way, when we're talking about 9 ether and 6 ether, we're dealing with that rotation of, let's say you have winter time and then you'll have what people call summer. Initially there were only 2 seasons, summer and winter. Eventually they became 4 when they added moving from winter into summer. In between that became spring, And the same way as moving from summer into winter, between that, they termed autumn. So the fact that you're in winter doesn't mean the sun doesn't exist. It's just that certain beings are more conducive to that environment because we're all built by nature. And as sun people, children of the sun, or melaninite children, we love the sun because the sun gives us more energy and we're more active during the summer times, and we kind of hibernate or go into sleep, and we're not as active in wintertime. Whereas you have other people, such as the Adamites, who love the temperatures when they're not so hot because, again, because of the recessiveness of their melanin or the lack of melanin, it's better for them to be in cooler environments. So what we're saying is that when you look at the motion, just the same way we look at the motions of the summer to winter, when you look at on a bigger scale, when you're looking at the sun traversing a bigger cycle, you have what we call an equinox, right, which is 24,000 years. But that takes a sun cycle, which is 6,000 years, a moon cycle, which is 6,000 years, another sun cycle, which is 6,000 years, and a moon cycle, 6,000 years. 6 times 4 gives you the 24,000 year cycle, and then it starts again. And even though we say 24,000, it's like 24,896 or something, but it's just rounded to 24,000, or some was rounded up. Because you know you can round down or you can round up. Some will round it up to 25,000 years. And then when another cycle is complete, that will give you 49,000 and some odd, which is rounded up to 50,000 years, referred to as an epoch. Whilst the 24,000 year cycle is referred to as an equinox. So what we're saying is that during that the last 6,000 years, we've been in something known as the moon cycle, or people refer to it also as the silver cycle, or we were moving from the Piscean era into the age of Aquarius. And that 6,000 years ended in the year 2000. So going backwards from the year 2000 to 4000 BC or BCE was when we were under this moon cycle. And during that cycle, just as we would go to sleep or don't perform our best during winter, the moon cycle is where the 6 ether forces were prominent, and the spell of Leviathan was cast on people who went to sleep. And the spell basically made you forget who you are. It's called amnesia, right? And that's when the ghost spell, or the spell of ghost worship by way of these witches that cast this spell, right, from the Sirius star constellation. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about the moon cycle. So when you're asking that question, Maria, how was it done? It was done gradually, just as, you know, you being stripped off of who you are. Like, you forgot your language, your culture. You don't remember how you did things because things were whitewashed and the stories were told. And remember that if you go back, most of us, or most humanoids now, only live to 100 and something years old. So when you think about 6,000 years ago, sounds like a very long time. But it was done through many, many methods of you know, putting the spell of Kingu or Leviathan over us. And we're gonna do some videos going more into the spell of Leviathan, which is, you know, taken off of this this scroll 666, Leviathan, the beast, all right, as the Antichrist, because this is where those Luciferians implemented many, many ways, and religion is just one of those tools that was used to put you to sleep and to make you forget of who you really are. All right, so that's to answer that question. We're talking about the last 6,000 years from 4004 BCE to the year 2000. And I hope that answers your question. And we've done quite a number of videos that go into more detail about that as well. So check out the one-to-ones that we've had with, especially the brother Moses. We kind of cover that. And check out the Partarak reading called I Was There, which is here. Also on OSM Vision, the only place to be. Okay, let's keep going. The brother, okay, we kind of covered that was the whole Mahdi thing. If they didn't want us to ask, they should have made the world more clearer. They should have made the world more clear. Okay, I don't get that. Okay, they were telling you to step in and deal with that person on the phone. All right, we've covered. Okay. Marmir, whom is the creator of the world? Is there one? If it is the creator playing around with us? Why are we left with questions and no direct answer? Meaning we have to use Google, but that's as far. That question, who is the creator, is part of the problem, part of the spell, because you've been given a notion that there is one creator. But as we've explained, it depends on who is asking the question. And if you start from yourself and ask, how did you come to be? How did you come about? You will have to admit you came through your mother and your father. Your mother being the creator, because she actually created you in her womb. And you grew in her womb for 9 months. We know there are actually 12 months, because there are things happening which you may be unaware of 3 months prior to you going through a process of what we call inception to conception. And then from that point, you're grown in your mother's womb. She is the goddess or the mother creator. This is why the word mother has M, other, because she produces others. So we say she produces the male and the female, or she grows and create. Because the word creator, when you say who's the creator, the word creator means to grow. And that's what she does in growing you in her womb. All right? When you say, is there one? There's one in terms of your mother's your mother, right? But everyone has a mother, so there are more mothers, mother creators. So the mothers are responsible for bringing life to this planet. So your mother and your father are your creators, because your father is responsible for producing or providing the sperm, and then that is seeded in your mother's womb, in the ovum, and then she then grows you, and she's responsible. So she is the creator. It's just that you've been given a false story in religion by men who wanted to control the narrative and say that a man, because they refer to God as he all the time, took dust off the ground and created a man, then took that man and took one of his ribs to create the woman. And that's how we all came about, through these two people they teach you about, called Adam and Eve. But then that story starts to fall apart when you look at things from a more intelligent point of view, from a scientific point of view, where the woman has an XX chromosome and the Y is a defective X. So the woman creates the man. Hence, all the words that describe the feminine like woman, you see man inside that word. When you say female, you see male inside female. When you say lady, you see lad inside of lady. When you say she, you see he inside of she. So man comes from woman, all right? So religion tried to turn it back to front. So to go back to your question, who is the creator of the world? Well, the world would not exist to you if you didn't exist. So what you call the world, again, this is another misconception, because when you say the world, in your mind, what are you referring to as the world? Because the world could be the city you live in. If you have not been outside of the city you were born and grown and lived in all your life, that's the world to you. Because although you may think there are other parts outside of that, the only way you will know is if you've seen it on TV or somebody else tells you, or you see pictures, but to you it doesn't exist. But to somebody else, the world could mean the country they live in, you see. So as you go outwards, and we cover this in the Fast Track book, where if you think about it, you have to go from where you are, as in you may be in a room, or you may be in a car, or you may be in a building. And then if you look at it, you're inside your physical body, and your physical body is inside a room or a vehicle, and that room is inside a building. That building is inside, you know, let's say a town. That town is inside a city. The city is inside a country. The country is inside a continent. The continent is inside a planet. The planet is inside a solar system. The solar system is inside a galaxy. The galaxy is inside the universe. And the universe, it goes on and on and on. So when you start to look at what you're saying, the world, that could mean different things to different people. So is there one? No, we've answered that. Is the creator playing around with us? No, what happened is the creators that you've been told about, like this God, Allah, the deities of these religious books, they're the ones that are playing with us. They are actually extraterrestrials, and they give you this false narrative that they are responsible and they created everything and they know everything. But when you start to probe, you start to find out that they don't know everything, and they're just beings with legs, arms, just the way we are, emotions, some of them, some don't have emotions. And as you start to read through these books, they claim to be the one creator. You find out that there are more, because you have terms like Elohim, which is a plural. You have, you know, many, many terms that when you start to look at them, they actually breaking down into more than one. Why are we left with questions? Because the reason you're left with questions is because you've been starved off of right knowledge. So you don't know. This is why they maimed us. And, you know, that's why the whole story in the Bible, it says that when they ate of the tree of knowledge, their eyes were open to know good from evil, because you didn't know anymore who you are, how you got here. And so now we're here as the master teacher has come to take you, wake you up from that sleep, that spell of sleep, and to answer questions so that you can start to use more of your brain and your mind, so you can get to know that you are the true God. So you become the creator, because you have all the necessary ingredients for you to produce a child, especially Marame, as you are a feminine. You are the creator that's going to create other beings if you have offspring. All right, I think I've covered that quite extensively. Okay, let us know where you're watching from. We see that we have most of people watching from the US of A, Africa next, and we have Europe and Asia and others as well. So we got people from all over the world, all over the globe. All right, let's keep going. We have about 25 minutes left. So if you haven't called in or you haven't got your question answered, this is the last 25 minutes so that you can have that opportunity. Okay. Yeah, remember, if you can also, if you don't get a chance to ask your questions, you can always film yourself asking your 3 most kind of like burning questions, and you can upload those to osmvision.wetransfer.com, and we'll do our best to answer those for you. Hakeem Shahada, what do you think of the new popular African president that everyone is talking about? That's such a broad question. I think you're talking about Burkina Faso. Yeah, he's doing great things for his country, and people love what he's doing because he's very, he's a people person, and he wants to help his people, and that's a great thing. So, but I mean, when you say, what do you think? Yeah, I mean, anyone who's doing good things in this world, positive things for that matter, we commend them, and yeah, we like what he's doing, and especially he's helping to liberate his people, provide for his people. That's, I think, if you're speaking about Ibrahim Traore, given you, I can't pronounce the last name, XCU. Hi, Saken. I am in Zanzi. I would like to know, what secret does South Africa hold? Again, that's such a broad question. Many secrets in terms, and many resources and many things. So remember, South Africa is really one of the original landing sites of the extraterrestrial beings. So, so there's a lot of history there when you start to read like the old Right Knowledge series that talk about, the Anunnaki had a lot to do with that area in terms of beings that landed there, as well as, our ancient ancestors. Remember, the Sans people of South Africa are the ones with the traits in terms of, the different traits of the people on the planet goes back to them. So they tie into the original beings that were here on the planet first, the Pataras. Okay, we've got another question, live caller. Rahubat, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Rahubat, greetings.
Rahubat.
My name is Nura, and I'm calling from the United States in Tennessee.
Rahubat, greetings.
Yeah. Greetings. It's always a pleasure listening to you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to ask about, I'm currently reading the Breath book by the master teacher, Malachi Z. York, and it's been wonderful.
Sure.
But on the pages 194 through 197, he talks about the power, the Sakam, and he says, okay, the universal principle, he speaks of it as a universal principle. And I wanted to ask, does the universal principle power has to be in all forms of matter, including the air we breathe, in order for us to have life?
Excellent question. You sound so positive. It's so good to hear that type of energy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this is what, you're right, yes. When you start to look at atoms and try to go to the kind of like the inner parts of what's making them alive, or even like cells, the energy that holds things together is what you're referring to as the Sakam. And this is flowing energy, and this is also referred to as chi when you start to look at like what a lot of the Eastern kind of like teachings talk about when you talk about like yin and yang and tai chi, and the chi or that energy is known to us as the sakam,
Okay.
which is actually part of my name. My name is Saken Sakam Reye. So that energy
Yes.
is what is it then relates to what we call ether, which holds
Okay.
everything together. Yeah, so it is universal because it deals with the pulsating of in and out, because the breath is dealing with that expansion and contraction. And when you start to really look at what expansion and contraction does, it's a way that you can travel intergalactically as well. It's the way that you keep things alive when you're accessing the vitality that you're taking when you're breathing, because you're breathing in, even though we say oxygen, when you go into, like you say, the finer details of what it's composed of or what atoms are composed of, then you start to look at that energy center known as the sakam. But yeah, go ahead if you have a follow-up.
Oh,
Please.
that is wonderful. And is that why the master teacher says the all is in all?
Tua.
Okay.
So now this is when you're starting to transcend dealing with the mundane, low vibrational things of people, places, and things, because the things that unite everybody that are common to all of us are things like that, like you need to breathe to survive, right? Regardless of
Right.
who you are. So that pulsating, that taking in of the oxygen and giving off carbon dioxide is producing that what keeps you alive. So yes, when you're saying that all is, all is, and even when you're saying that in English, even though we know English is a lower vibration in terms of the language, he still gives us the best terms you could use in English. This is what a master is able to do, so that anyone can relate to that, because all cannot be made separate, or you can't take from all and you can't add to all. all
Yes.
all is, and that's the best you could do in terms of an English word that can describe what connects everybody and everything. Even though when I say everything, that's a division, because things are quantified and divisible. So yeah, we're dealing with that we
I
say
love
pa
it.
paut in the language, which is
Okay.
all is.
Oh, that is wonderful. I love it. Yeah, I love how the master teacher break things down and make things so understandable.
Torah, Torah. It makes it so that everyone, and this is why, even in the scriptures, the prediction is that there will come a time where the dumb shall what's the phrase? The dumbfound the wise. So, regardless of whether you've gone to university or not, whether you've gone to school or not, he makes it clear. This is why when we use the term the master teacher, it's because he's able to make it so simple that regardless of who you are, what level you are, whether or not you've been to school or not, you can still get clarity from when he teaches some things. And yeah,
Yes.
so he makes it available for everyone to understand.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome all the time.
Oh, have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Wadu. God, she's so positive, her energy, so you feel like you could just, yeah, just like swim in that. All right, let's keep going. We have 15 minutes left, all right?
Last 15, just the chat, I'll say.
Yeah, let's just deal with the questions in the chat. You're cracking me up.
It's funny,
You can hear that vibration, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so, okay, rephrasing the question, although I'd like to know how ends up having an auto-suggestion of principles without learning. Rephrasing the question, this is Earth Giants.
One just before it.
Okay, what's the best way to understand the path or the mission of oneself on Earth, connecting with the personality or the intellect at the stage of experiencing my apologies, I might rephrase the question, although I'd like to. All right, let me try and help you out. The best way to understand the path or the mission is really to connect with Partner Babyanun, the master teacher, and read the scrolls so that you can get clarity on anything that you've been confused about or any misinformation, because he gives you the truth, and that truth will lead you to knowing about yourself, first of all, who you are, how you got here, what you should be doing, where you should be going, and then that will lead you to take the right actions once your mind is set free from the bondage of misinformation and the lies and so on and so forth. Because knowing is the best way to live. Knowing the truth is the best way to live. So the best way to know the path or the mission is to know yourself. You hear the phrase, know thyself. And then once you do that, others that are doing the same will be vibrating on the same resonant frequency, because your mind gives off or emits, a vibration. Your body vibrates on a tone. Everything about you vibrates. And that vibration connects with other things that, or people that vibrate on the same frequency. This is why when you use a tuning fork and you hit a note, the notes of the musical alphabet, we know about the 8 notes, right? They relate to the original vibrations of how the universe came about. And each note that vibrates on the same frequency, when you hit that note with a tuning fork, they will all vibrate. So if he hits an A, which is the frequency or the tone that the Nagaru or the Negro body vibrates on. Different races have different tones or notes that they vibrate on. For us, the body's A. And then you have to say you are inside the planet, inside nature, and that vibration will be the F, because the animals and the trees and the other things around you vibrate also on a frequency. Then you have the planet being a part of a solar system and a galaxy that also vibrates, tying into other galaxies and tying into other universes, or the multiverse to the omniverse. This is the tone of C. So we say A for the body, F for nature, and C for the cosmos, because going back to that previous questions from Mara, you are connected to everything. This is what we're talking about when we say quantum mechanics or quantum physics or quantum entanglement, all right? So it's so important that you're connected to the mission, not only for yourself, but with humanity, with other beings that exist in other dimensions, in other galaxies. So our ancestors reside on higher vibrations and frequencies that we can connect to or tap into. And then we receive outformation, meaning we're receiving things from outside of ourselves, from outside of the planet. And that becomes information. But then that information can be used against you to keep you in check in formation. So you're just like in form, like someone else is controlling how you're thinking and how you're reacting to your senses, because they stimulate your senses by way of what you refer to as your five senses, but they're really a combination of one sense. So, you know, they tell you have to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, and to touch. But all of those are actually really one, which is touch. But the other four have been hidden away from you. So the other four will be your telepathy, intuition, psychometry, and what did I miss out? Clairvoyance, the last one, right? So this connects you to have clear vision. That's what clairvoyance is. Clear visions into different dimensions. Even when you travel in your sleep or astral project or do these things, you get clear vision because you're not using your physical eyes. The physical eyes give you this illusion that you think when you're looking at the things around you, because things are not what they seem. They're actually vibrating and they're not just physical objects. So that's clairvoyance. Intuition is your ability to know things without anybody telling you, all right? Then you have telepathy, which is the ability to communicate mind to mind to anybody, anywhere on the planet and even outside, because you connect with your mind. And then, what's the last one? Psychometry, the ability to object read. You know, you can read objects around you because you are the center of your universe. This is how beings that are empaths. They're able to walk in a room and feel people's pain, feel the energy, feel people's thoughts, be able to read people's minds. This is how, when you're starting to develop to your higher senses, you start to become a supreme being. You know, we're already supreme beings, but we've lost those abilities because when you were able to think or travel or hear voices or do these things that people that don't want you to know about this will term that as you being crazy. But as you experience something for yourself, nobody can tell you any different, because experience is the best teacher, you see. So to answer that question, you have to first of all know yourself, know why you're here, because you have a purpose, and Wu-Sabat will help you to find that purpose once you connect with the being, the most peaceful, loving, caring, supreme being, which is a term much, much higher than the terms you use, such as God, right? And then collectively, as a people, we have a mission. That mission is to spread Wu-Sabat, to help humanity. Most importantly, to help free the master teacher. That's our test. So then you know what your life is about, where you're going, and then we just continue to grow, build, and do things for the purpose of helping humanity. I see you have a question.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be the last one.
We've got 5 minutes left.
Okay.
And I've got a few questions, if you can give them like 30-second answers.
Okay, let's do it.
When this 6,000 year sun cycle is over, will there be another moon cycle?
Okay, yes, there will be another moon cycle. However, it doesn't mean that the beings that were making this particular last 6,000 years moon cycle chaotic will exist, because they won't. They will be removed in this cycle.
Apart from the Adamites, who else are six ether beings in terms of extraterrestrials who have power over humanity?
Right, so the whole thing about six ether is that anybody can lower their vibration and operate as a six ether being, even though you may be or have the ability or the potential to be a nine ether being. You can lower your vibration and behave and act and do things that limit your growth to six ether. And that's not just us as humanoids, but also extraterrestrials. They're extraterrestrials that are on lower vibrations, which are even lower than 6 ether. When you start to go to the subabodes, like where you're dealing with ghouls and demons and all types of beings that are on the lower vibrations.
I was born between 1973 and 2003. How can I tell if I was here before or if I'm a new spirit?
Well, this is why we put out the video on the golden children, which explains and talks about those beings referred to as the golden children, who they need to be activated, even though they may have the abilities or feel like there's something going on with them where they feel very strange, they feel like they're loners, they don't kind of fit in. There are many things that they're very creative, very talented. The master teacher, Partner Babylon, has to touch them and has to activate them. So how you will know is, again, by the results of your actions, and most importantly, when you are told or touched by Partner Babylon that you are one of those golden children. And he says, don't force it, don't try and claim it, because if you are, you are. If you're not, you're not. But don't try and claim it. He will let you know when that time comes. Next one.
Is Wu-Sabat in favor of Nagaru taking vaccines?
Wu-Sabat doesn't speak for people individually. Just like people make choices. It's just like if you say, is Wu-Sabat in favor of people eating meat? Even though you have the knowledge of what meat does and why it's not for you to partake in, people will still do it. So, when it comes to things to do with health and medical aspects of a person's life, it's ultimately their decisions. Wu-Sabat doesn't dictate or governs or tells people what to do. Even when it comes to living Wu-Sabat, you have all the books and all the guidelines and the way to live Patarak, but many people don't actually choose or live by it. So no, we don't.
Quick question. I realize Saken recommends us some movies to watch, and I'm wondering if you've ever watched a movie named Revelation 1999. They talk about the mark of the beast, as you explained earlier.
I haven't watched that title doesn't actually ring a bell, so no, I haven't watched it, but thanks. I'm always looking for new movies to watch, so I will watch it. I've got about 3 movies now to watch, which is interesting. People have been telling me to watch Sinners, and now I've got that one, and there's another one somebody else recommended today. But yeah, I will look into it. But to be honest, because we know so much about that whole Revelations, we've got the master translated all the Revelation books. We've got, as I showed you before, these books go into it. But I will still watch it. But it'll be interesting to see if they're going to say anything new to what we already know. Okay.
Can you explain what melanin have to do with carbon?
Yeah, melanin, if you look at what we are, we come from the sun. And the darkest beings is because the melanin within the body. Remember I was saying that when something is burnt, it's black, it's carbon. So that's carbon is a residue of burning. And we grew with the sun. So originally we came out of the sun with our sun heat genes, and we were as black as the sun. And it took many years and time for the actual atmosphere to cool down and for us to come out of that. And that's why when you say melanin is what, like if you are outside in the sun, you get darker because it interacts with you and it literally burns what you call burn. But some people get burnt and it destroys them because they don't have the melanin, because melanin is a very resistant molecule as well. So it's like, yeah, it's the protection that protects you from the sun because you are from the sun. If you're not from the sun, then it's going to burn you and damage you and give you skin cancer and things like that.
I know Wu-Sabat culture has its own language, and my question is, Does it have its own numbers?
Tua. Yeah, so we say Sifu, Athu, Thalu, those are numbers.
Is deja vu real, and why do it occur?
Yes, deja vu is just a French term to explain what we call time traveling, because you can travel back in time and to the future. And when you go to the future and come back, and then later on come to that incident, you're like, I've been here before, or you feel what people call deja vu. And that's what it is. It's time traveling, even if it's momentarily, you go to the future and come back. How many questions? I'm sure that was
one
more.
more, but C double is making me laugh because earlier you said you could swim in that. That's what he's laughing at. So
Look at that. We've
I was
just
trying
got.
to hold it down.
C Dubo, thank you so much for showing us some love.
We've got one more question.
You're the only person that's shown us this love today, so thank you. You can just swim in that. Yeah, that's what I see it now. Yeah, you know, like you get that gooey, that you don't want me to say anything.
The last question, yeah?
Yeah.
Can OSM do a video on how exactly is human energy harvested from the human body by 9 ether extraterrestrials, and how they store and utilize it for teenage science students to understand?
Yeah, I mean, we will. It's just energy. Remember, energy can be harnessed, it can be transformed, and that's what you're really talking about. When you really break things down, break yourself down, your energy, but the energy is at different density levels, yeah? So, you know, like we use the example of water, which is a very easy way for people to comprehend it, where water at different density will take on different forms. So when it's less dense or its vibration is low, it's going to be like ice, which is more solid, more material, physical. When you then heat up that ice, what you're doing is breaking up the, you know, the composition of the ice, which melts and it becomes liquid. Now you can continue to heat up the liquid and it becomes vapor or steam, and then that will disappear in front of your eyes, but it's going somewhere. So when you think about yourself as a being, you're composed of your physical, yeah, the material you that you can physically touch. This is vibrating on the lowest realm, which is known as the physical realm or the material world. But then you're also composed of liquids, right? Which is your blood, your plasma, which is your red blood cells, white blood cells, etc., etc. And then, of course, you're obviously etheric as well, the ether you. Yeah, so it's about, you know, you can go into certain places and you just feel drained. Like people can suck out your energy. So it's a similar thing. I know that was a quick answer because we've run out of time. But yeah, we're looking to doing a video for that. And that's another thing, request video. Someone else is showing us some love now. Oh, it's C-Duva again. Ashok brothers and sisters, Tua, Ashok, divine love. And until next week, same time, same place, join the Telegram group, film yourself, send us 3 questions to osmvision.wetransfer.com. I'm teaching this Saturday. Join us on Telegram or on Zoom. Title of the class is The Waiting Game. All right? Till next week. Wadu family. Wadu Musa.